Hey guys, so let's talk about how to get tax planning clients using Facebook. So I want to kind of talk about like what are some of the different fundamental aspects that make Facebook hard as compared to a social media platform more of like a LinkedIn or Instagram. So number one, why is Facebook hard to get tax planning clients? And also, if you want some help growing your business, like maybe it's just not quite going the way that you hoped, but you know that if you had someone who can be in your corner and tell you exactly what to do step by step, if you feel it would have some value to you, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. So, the most important thing is finding the people on Facebook can be challenging. And it doesn't, in theory, it doesn't make sense. It's like, why would it be challenging to find individuals that could utilize tax planning? There's like, what is it, 1 to 2 billion people on Facebook. That's the problem. It's how wide of a thing it is. So really, and this is like the path I took, like because when I started my accounting and bookkeeping business, like I had no idea to use Facebook, and like it just did not. I just could not make it work in the beginning. So number one, you have to go and find interest groups. So I would either find local business networking groups or industry specific groups. Now, for me, you might ask, like, why are we going only after business owners? It's not just that we only go after business owners, just those on Facebook are the easiest ones to kind of find in the beginning, right? So you can have people with like maybe they have like a W-2 job and they have some sort of like side business or side income or rental properties, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just looking for people that I know are going to have a slightly abnormal situation or something that the average person is not going to have, because they're also going to have more income and more money in a lot of cases. Most people, and this is not everyone that starts a side hustle, but you can kind of tell like the ones that are more established, on average, they're going to make more money than like the average person. So it's just like, it's just a higher probability that the people that are inside these business groups are going to be able to utilize your service. It's just higher probability than if you're just like randomly looking for people on Facebook. So I'm always going to groups. Okay, that's number one. Now, inside of these groups, you have to be a little careful, right? Because you can't just go and like advertise your stuff. Be like, buy my stuff. People will be like, no. First of all, they'll say no. Then second of all, I get like a message from like the admins. They'll be like, you can't sell listen to these groups. So there's two main ways to use a group. Number one is the members list. So if you can go and look inside and look at like, you can generally sort the members list, either like who's new to the group, who's older to the group, who are people you have stuff in common with, etc., etc. If you've been in accounting for any period of time and you like go into like a group that's like, let's say it's your local city business networking group, you're going to have business owners in common because you're going to have like mutual friends, right? And you're looking to friend request people that have at least like 2 to 4 mutual friends in common. Now, is that the most efficient way, like time efficient, like Bryce? Am I going to do this for the rest of my career? No. We're going to talk about some more scalable methods in a couple minutes. But if you're just getting started and maybe you're working your job, you don't really have that much time, you don't have that much disposable income to spend on advertising, you need to make this thing work fast, this is going to be the fastest way to kind of go and get that path going. So you want to be able to go and send like 10 to like 30 friend requests per day. And again, that does not take that long. It takes you like maybe 5-10 minutes. Like, let's be honest with you, right? The part that takes the most time is going to be like the messaging, and just like once you have a high volume of leads. So like to send the friend request doesn't take much time. It's just more about like, just kind of getting that correct. Now, you can either do people with like friends in common, or you can go find people that are like more established. Like, the longer they've been inside the business group, oftentimes the better. Ideally, looking for people that are like between like 2 to like 6 years in business are generally a good fit. I've kind of found that over that, they generally have a CPA they've been comfortable with. If like under that, they're probably still looking, or they're like growing from like one provider to another provider. So I kind of like them inside of that range. Now, the second thing that we talked about is going into like these niche specific groups. So this does not necessarily mean you have to have one target market niche. It's just the reason why niching online is cool is because it allows you to make very niche specific marketing strategies or marketing campaigns that cause a large percentage of a total group of people to come towards you without having to have much variability inside of your messaging. So the problems that a real estate investor will have are going to be a different set of problems than what someone who owns like a solar company is going to have. And that's just within their business. Like, I understand like the tax implications are going to be similar, right? So they're not going to have like just everything is different, but the way you speak to them, their life experience is going to be a lot different. Their mindset's different, right? A real estate investor in a lot of cases is not thinking like a salesperson, right? They're not, they have a different skill set, a different like thought process versus like a solar company entrepreneur is solely focused on like sales and growth. Like they're two totally different types of people. So when you have like a niche, you can speak to one type of person and just cut through all the noise and go and like amass a large percentage of that audience. So for me, for example, in our like mentorship program, like our mentorship program, I only work with accountants, bookkeepers, and tax planners, right? I don't work with like people that do like basic tax prep. I don't really work with people that are like financial advisors. I don't work with people that are like life coaches, therapists. Could I help those people out? Probably with our marketing skill set, yeah, we definitely could. But it's easier if I just, like, this is what I actually did. I built a Facebook group with like 40,000 people inside of it. That took me, what, 2.5 years to do so? That took like in the grand scheme of like the world, that took like no effort. Versus if I had to do one time, I had to have one message specific to financial advisors, one for financial planners, one for tax planners, one for life coaches, one for therapists. Every single one of the messages are different, so it takes a lot more effort to keep each of them appeased. Now, I could do that if I wanted to. I would not do it like using organic marketing or posting. I would probably use it with an ad campaign. And we can talk about advertising in a minute, right? Because that kind of slides into the next thing. So, in the beginning, on Facebook, you're going to be doing things more manually. That's like writing one post and posting. That's sending out the friend request manually. But after you get to a certain stage, you can start dabbling in advertisements. Now, for me, I generally would not do advertising unless you've already sold 3 people at a minimum of $5,000 for your tax plan alone. If you want to do it and you're like the average tax plan you sold is $3,000, that can be close, but it's going to be a little tight, okay? Because whenever you're advertising, it's going to cost you on average between $750 to $1,500 per client from ads. That's what it's going to average out to. So let's say that you spend $3,000, it's going to average out to 2 clients. If your cost per sale is $1,500. Now, that's kind of it does become more predictable, but it does also have a little bit of you just need to know your P's and Q's. Because number one, your profit margin is going to drop. Before, if you're selling a tax plan for $5,000, but you have no advertising, and really maybe your only cost like your labor expense, assuming that you have like a team. If you don't have a team, really isn't that much cost. If you don't have a team, you don't have an office, there's not that much cost that comes into the business. It's very, very high profit margin, very high leverage. But as you start to do ads, right, there's a new risk, which is just like your profit margin going down. Also with advertising does not work where you spend an ad today, you get a client tomorrow. The shortest marketing time frame people think in is 30 days, right? So they're trying to double their money within 30 days. And those are people that are like professional advertisers. For most people, you're going to spend $1 and it's going to take you between 60 to 180 days before that dollar will turn into a client in most cases. So if you don't have the cash flow going from like your free methods, which like we talked about earlier, like slower methods, the posting the content, the making the friend request, if you don't you need to have consistent income from that. Or if you do accounting and bookkeeping services, like have your bookkeeping services pay for like the monthly expenses, right? And then once you have like that base down, then you can start advertising because you won't put too much pressure on yourself. It's very hard to make an advertisement work when you need an advertisement to work. That's the thing that I've kind of learned in this business, just in life. Whenever you need something to work, it doesn't work out. As soon as you don't need it to work, or as soon as you don't care about if it works or not, it's just gravy on top, everything works. So that's how I really kind of think of when it comes to advertisements. Now, with advertising, it's going to also depend on your current skill set, your capacity to handle lead flow, the volume of sales calls that you actually want to take, and also how long can you wait before you return your money, right? We'll go in reverse order. So waiting to get a return on your money, again, 60 to 180 days. I've had it where I've spent an ad on someone, they didn't buy from me until 300, it was a little bit over a year. I even had a person that opted in for an ad, and it took them 2 years before they ever paid me any money. 2 years. If I needed that original, let's say it's $3,000 I spent, if I needed that $3,000 to be paid off within like 20 days, that would never have worked. I would have given up. I would have hated ads. I would have said they don't work, right? So you have to make sure you can expand that time frame. Next thing is the number of sales calls you can take. Do not underestimate if you don't have a good process, do not underestimate the number of bad leads that will hop on a call just to waste your time. There's an infinite number of bad leads. Infinite. The more people or the less money someone makes, the more likely they are to hop on a call and talk about some prospective tax plan they're never even going to face. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he like booked a call, and like, I'm not trying to be mean, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, the guy had $0. He was unemployed. He was talking about becoming like a real estate investor, as well as like some kind of like truck dispatcher, as well as like this other thing. And he was talking about like he was gonna basically build like this like the next like Deloitte, and like, but he was like almost, but everything was like, well, what if I do this? Like what if I grow too fast? What if I do this? Like, bro, we have to get some cash flow going. Like the amount of like where you are kind of in like your life right now, you have to kind of build the small stuff and the simple stuff first. We can build up to it, you know? But you get a lot of people like that when it comes from advertisers, because they see your ad, they see like, and like a lot of people just want to talk business. They don't necessarily want to run a business or do business. They just want to talk business, right? Because they kind of get like a dopamine spike whenever that happens. And it's just like, yeah. So don't ever, like, a lot of people think like, oh, you know, I'm just going to talk to qualified people because I'm spending with ads. Like, no. You have to learn with advertising how to sift through the unqualified people and make a good enough profit margin on the ones that are qualified. So, like, let's say out of your leads, most people, if they get, let's say, 100 leads, they're going to close maybe anywhere between half a sale to 3 sales. That's like, if you're closing 3 sales out of every 100 leads, that is really, really, really high level advertising. You're doing a really good job. Keep running that. Whatever you did to do it, run it some more. But on average, it's probably going to be about 0.5% of your leads will actually sign up with you. So the problem there is there are certain types of advertising campaigns that will get you to speak to more people or can get you to speak to more qualified people. You have to learn how to balance those two things out. So let's say, for example, there's an advertising campaign called a messenger campaign. Basically, you make an ad and people who are interested will message you. Okay, well, that's going to be a lot of work on the messaging department. So you have to make sure you have a really good messenger script down. Maybe if a virtual assistant can handle those messages, and you have something that can maybe like a 3 to 5 message sequence, or just to make sure the person's qualified to get them on the phone. And even then, I would still have a qualification form. Like, let's say you use like a tool like Calendly or Schedule Once. Your questionnaire needs to basically kind of get people to admit they have like the funds to do it, or they don't have the funds to do it, or if they're even willing to invest. Okay, if you don't have that, you're going to take a lot of calls with people that are just not really good fits. You're going to think that it's because your sales skills are bad, and you're going to like have a misdiagnosis on what the actual problem is in the business. Right? Another style of advertising campaign you can do is like a book funnel. So let's say you have like a book and you advertise the book. This is something I've done, right? And those calls generally tend to be a lot less. You're going to have a lot less calls, but the people that get on the phone, they're going to want to buy from you. It's very, very rare for me that I have someone that has bought my book and books a call with me that does not sign up. It's very, very fun. The only reason they don't is like if they don't have like money in a lot of cases. But you can kind of like balance the different ones. Like, we'll do different videos on this channel that break down specific types of advertising, but I'm just talking about like what are the different avenues within this video and like what makes it hard. The next thing is, again, like how can you even handle the lead volume, okay? If you get too many leads, like there is such thing as too many leads. Like, because every platform and every like, I would almost like to think, whenever you run an advertisement, you're trying to get a certain percent of people to book a call with you today, but like we said, only maybe 1 out of 100 is going to actually buy from you. So out of that 100, you're probably going to get 5 sales calls booked. 1 of those 5 is going to buy if you're not good at sales. If you're good at sales and you have a good process, okay, you might get 2, 3 out of 5, right? You might be closing like 50%. Now, for the remaining 95 people that did not book a call, you have to put them to some sort of container to hold that interest, right? Because we're not trying to like lose money. We're not trying to have like money fall through the cracks. Because within those 95 people, there definitely is more buyers. It's just a matter of time before they buy. So our job becomes, how can we stay in front of those people long enough until they are ready to actually work with us at the price points we're charging. Now, you can do that with an email list, you can do it with a YouTube channel, you can do it with your Facebook list. For me, I prefer to have an email list and a YouTube channel. Now, if you don't want to be on video, we talk about on this channel like how to do videos without putting your face on it. We call it faceless YouTube channels, okay? Very simple. But at the very least, we're emailing the people once a week with some kind of like helpful information or some kind of post you post on Facebook. You just repost to the email people. But again, every container holds a certain set of leads in a slightly different capacity or a slightly different amount of activity needs to be done. So let's say, for example, if your container is a Facebook group, can you message everyone inside the Facebook group? Usually, after you get to like 50 to 1,000 people, you can't message every single person that's in your group. That's one reason why the 40,000 person group was so hard for me to run. Another thing is, let's say it's an email list. Do you want to write emails each week? If you send an email each week, what percentage of your total email viewers will actually open your emails? If you're doing a YouTube channel, do you want to do so everything has a pro and con. Everything is a pro and con. And when you can understand that and you can handle a higher volume of leads, you can actually spend more on ads and you can make more money. So it really, all advertising is like a timing issue and a capacity issue. As soon as you can handle that, you can scale as far as you want. You can scale as far as you want. Because you could hire someone to take your sales calls for you. I prefer not to do that, and a lot of you can and there's always a cost when it comes to someone doing your sales calls. Either if they don't charge you to do it, but they're maybe taking a 10% or 20% commission, they generally don't have a lot of training. And you can hire agencies to do your sales calls for you, but oftentimes it's going to cost you $15,000 up front, and they're going to want 10 to 20% of each sale that you make, right? And it's just okay, that adds another layer of risk because now your profit margin went down even more, right? Because they're taking 20% plus the $15,000 up front. So, and if you in our program, if you ever have questions about that, we do show you how to go and hire a sales team if you want, so you don't have to do the calls yourself. I prefer to take my own calls just because I really figured out a way to lower the total volume but increase the quality. So it's a good way for me to kind of get a gauge on, is my marketing still good? Is the words I'm saying relevant? And I can use that to fuel my marketing moving forward. But if you want to scale this thing and go really, really far, really, really fast, really, really high, you can of course get a sales team. I've just opted out, instead of getting scale, I get more cash flow and I get a higher profit margin. So that's just me, and that's just kind of the choice I've made. Cool. Next thing that's hard with Facebook is knowing what to say, okay? So there's two places to know what to say. Number one is your content. Right? And again, if you can't write a free piece of content to get a client, you're not going to be able to write an ad that gets a client. It just isn't going to work. So you have to practice on the free stuff, right? And you can generally know what to say inside of your written content by taking consultation calls and by talking to people. If you don't already have clients, I probably would not start off with writing content, because the content you write is generally not going to have the right relevancy that gets someone to buy. Because all a piece of written content is, just like I talked about earlier, why do I like taking my sales calls? It's because I hear what's on the sales call, I regurgitate it back in my written content, and then more people want to buy it because it's relevant to what I've already heard the people are saying. So how do we get sales calls again? If we can't write content and get sales calls because we just don't have enough stuff, well, it goes back to Messenger, right? How we said you send the friend request. So inside of Messenger, you need to learn how to send 3 to 5 different messages in a sequence. And if you don't have a sequence, I can give you a sequence. I'm also going to publish a video on this channel that talks about how to make a Messenger script, so you can make your own if you want to. But it just it teaches you how to build interest, how to communicate the value you have, and also how to pull a problem out of someone that doesn't know anything about you and might be a little bit hesitant. Once you get good at that, the sky is the limit, because you could run the messenger stuff for the rest of your career. I did that for a while. I did that for about 3 years, running messages myself. Then I hired a virtual assistant to do the messaging for me, because I just wanted to either be able to scale or just have more consistency as my businesses got busier and busier, right? But we still send messages to this day. Do we send it quite as much? No, because we just don't need to at this point. But up until a year ago, we were sending out about anywhere between, it was 500 to 1,000 messages a day. Because I just had so many leads. I had 40,000 people in a Facebook group. I had 7,000 on my Instagram. I had 6,000 on my LinkedIn. I was growing my Twitter. Like I just had so many people to talk to that we were just messaging every single day, super hard. Again, it wasn't me. Like don't feel like, oh, Bryce is making me have like this high volume approach. It wasn't me. I had virtual assistants at that point. We were sending a lot of messages, and like you can make a lot of money doing that. You can make like $2 million over the span of like 4 years just by messaging people. Super, and no one else knows how to do this. It's like you're literally in a class of your own if you know how to do this. Like no one knows how to do this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna end this video here because like I feel like it's getting a little bit long, but really understanding that like if you can get these social media platforms to work, you don't have to spend money, and you can still make multiple six figures a year, if not seven figures for some people. Like we have students in our program that made seven figures just doing some of the stuff we talk about on this YouTube channel. At the same time, too, though, if you make six figures enough years, you're going to automatically hit seven figures, right? So it's just one of those things where you don't necessarily have to go fast. You can grow at whatever speed you want. A lot of the students we work with, like, they don't necessarily want to like make $1 million a year. They just want to be able to go and like feed their family, have freedom, and be able to go and live life on their terms. If that's something that you value, right? You just want to be able to go and make sure you don't have to think about money the same way. Make sure that you can go and focus on freedom, not having to worry about like a job. If that's something that you want, go ahead and click the link inside the description above or below the video. Book a call with myself, see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. We've helped out a lot of people. Would love to help you as well, okay? So I'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Take it easy.